And we are live. Welcome, comic book guys and gals, to Comic Mag Musings Live, the Retrospective, featuring my co-host, Roger Metarog. Roger, how are you, sir?
I'm doing excellent, very blessed. Great to be back here with you, Bill. And as we like to really do these deep dives into these Bronze Age series, that's my jam. You know what I mean? So thanks
Absolutely.
again for thinking this up. I really appreciate it, and I really think this goes well between the two of us too. So,
well, I always enjoy these. Today is a good day. We got our Christmas tree earlier. We will decorate it or trim it later on this evening. And my Arizona Cardinals won today. So today has been good so far.
That's right. They're number one seed in their conference. That's right. Yeah. Good job. Good job. I mean, that's a long-suffering team. So, they're due.
With a long-suffering
they're definitely due. Yeah, they're definitely due.
All right. So today we are going to take a dive into the Miss Marvel Bronze Age series, issues 1 through 23. Before we get started on that, did you want to mention anything about preceding appearances? I believe what Captain
Well,
Marvel
yeah, I mean, when we're talking about Carol Danvers,
correct.
She actually started back in the Captain Marvel series. She was an Air Force pilot at first. I think Marvel Superheroes 13 was when she first appeared. I haven't read that in a long time. Right. But she was then the NASA security chief throughout those early Captain Marvel issues, the green and white uniform. And she was constantly trying to figure out, what was going on, why all these things were going on in the cape and all this. So she was all over the place in the Captain Marvel series. And this sort of takes place right after one of her final appearances in Captain Marvel 18, where I believe Captain Marvel is taking on Yon-Rogg, and the Psych Magnetron blows up, and Marvel protects her from it, supposedly.
Right,
shields her. And then we don't see her. We see her intermittently after that. Right. But this sort of takes up a little bit after that, and she had a couple. She left her post as security chief because her unsuccessful attempts to protect it from these Kree, and then she wrote an expose, a book on the Cape and the problems there, et cetera, which made her some money apparently because she has a pretty nice apartment here.
Right.
And then
it wasn't the first, nor was it the last time there were shenanigans happening in Florida. I can assure you of that. That state is full of shenanigans.
Yeah, we seem to be a hotbed for that stuff. Yeah, we seem to be a hotbed for that. That's true. Yeah. I had nothing to do with it. Let me just say right off the bat.
Well, the investigation's in the offing.
You want to chat out the chat real quick before we start getting
Let's do it.
serious?
So we have the amazing, the Jackson Roy Kurt. How are you, sir? Always good to see you, one of my buds. We've got Ryan, Magic Lasso.
Hey, Ryan.
Disco Dazzler is his jelly. Dazzler is great too.
Oh yeah, I'm with him on that one.
We've got Kachum and Delphia. They're ready for going to go.
We got the couple. All right. Kachun is a huge Captain Marvel fan, so we gotta make sure we know our facts right here.
That's right. Captain Marvel's a great character.
Great character. Yeah. Walter Lawson. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're starting off from 1977 with issue number 1, which has become a hot book as of the last 3 or 4 years. That is the one. Great cover art, John Romita. Interior art by Big John. And written by Jerry Conway. The first 2 issues, I think, were written by Conway. And then I'm pretty sure it was Chris Claremont from that point through the end of the run.
Yeah. And in this first issue, it says that Jerry Conway had an assist from Carla Conway, which is, I'm assuming, his wife.
Right.
So, which is, we were talking beforehand, and that there was little female input into this comic, which maybe was a problematic thing. But Jerry Conway, I think he had like a, he had, I think he, on one of the last pages, he wrote, like the challenges that he was having here, writing a feminist, and that they couldn't find a female writer that had the qualifications, which I find that hard to believe. But this is a comic book after all. We're not talking about, rewriting the Constitution or anything. But anyway, but interesting. Interesting uniform here, Bill. Patterned after Marvel.
Yeah.
But even though a feminist character, she has a bare midriff and a very bare back.
That is true.
And of course, no a big little boots, no leg coverings. So
that's right.
Again,
hubba.
What you.
I think in writing this book, I think they wanted to kind of at least explore the feminist movement, which was sweeping through the country during the 70s, particularly during the mid 70s through the late. But at the same time, I think that they were probably smart enough to know that the majority of the readers would still probably be male. So I think they're trying to cover both bases with that. Attract some female readers with their ideology and attract male readers with the character.
Yeah. I think they're trying to play both sides of the field there. That's for sure. Yep. And notice the title. I don't know if you may be too young to know this, Bill, but what the title here, Ms. Marvel, is interesting because in the mid 70s,
that was the thing.
Most ladies were Miss or Mrs. Miss if you weren't married, Mrs. if you were. Right. Ms. was a more liberated. I don't want to say feminist because that's maybe an overreach, but certainly that I remember, the more liberated ladies or career ladies used Ms., which was
the title was certainly identified with the feminist movement. Yes, and what you're alluding to by Miss is MISS.
Right.
MS period, yes, is definitely it goes part and parcel with the feminist movement.
Right.
So yes, that was
great little cover here. I like this cover, Bill. One of my problems with modern covers is that they don't tell you anything about what's going on inside. This tells you a lot. You see the Scorpion up there. You see J. Jonah Jameson, Mary Jane, and Peter Parker, and then you see her over here fighting. My fingers are with a shield there. So there's a lot going on, and you got, I think, Carol Danvers there too as well. So really nice cover. I would give this cover high marks myself.
Yeah, I like it. We've got Mark Spector Comics jumping in the chat. Hey, Dave, how are you?
Hey, David.
We've got Gary B., the casual comic guy. Good to see you, sir.
Gary.
So to break
Black
this down real quickly.
Yeah, Black Lightning costume is coming, Gary. It's coming. Go ahead, Bill. Go ahead.
Miss Marvel's in New York right after having written her book. She's relocated, and she stops a crime by the Scorpion. Now, she'd been plagued by blackouts, and she doesn't actually know she's Miss Marvel, which I thought was a cool concept to begin with, to sort of have those separate psychic identities. And she scores a new job with the lovely ultra-feminist J. Jonah Jameson as the editor of Woman magazine. That's the guy right there. She meets Peter Parker, MJ, and she has another fainting spell. Jonah's kidnapped by the Scorpion. She goes and rescues him. He's seeking revenge because J. Jonah Jameson's the one that had the experiment, paid for it, and turned him into the Scorpion, essentially. And she beats the Scorpion, rescues Jonah, who's not terribly happy to be rescued by her. And he gives Carol the task of reporting on Miss Marvel. Essentially, I think he wants to dig up some dirt on Miss Marvel because he doesn't like any types of superheroes, particularly feminine ones.
Yeah, excellent. Interesting thing is that J. Jonah Jameson has a publishing empire, and Woman magazine is part of them, and he hired a woman here, which is surprising, right? But I think he knew that if he didn't, it wouldn't be a good seller, because obviously it would be a male written or edited.
Right.
So yeah, he wants an expose on Ms. Marvel, and things don't quite go that way later on. One other thing I want to add at the end, this acid falls on a Scorpion, which was what he had in mind for J. Jonah Jameson. He buys this laboratory from this guy. What was the name? Corman, I think. And that comes into play later on. But the Scorpion is messed up because of the acid. He's in pain and the whole bit. And he just runs away because he was just in pain. Yeah.
Right.
And
I think originally Jonah kind of thought about the magazine as sort of a fashion type magazine.
Right.
I don't.
Recipes.
Yeah, exactly. Not necessarily as a vehicle for feminine rights or anything like that.
Right. More like good housekeeping or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. But well, anyway, we'll get into that later. So here's number 2. Scorpion returns. He is in pain. But he wants revenge on Ms. Marvel for what she did to him. And then we got this guy over here, who I think his name is Destructor, which was the lab guy, the scientist, and the money that Scorpion stole from the bank was to give to him, so he could have his headquarters and he could get this technology to create this suit, which has a destructive beam, essentially like a unicorn.
Yeah, it's like
so
a mini
they
blast
battle.
helmet.
Right, exactly, right. So they battle here, and here they're sort of like an origin. They sort of recap the origin here of Miss Marvel. How she was trying to back then. She was in this cave, and the psych magnetron was radiated, and Marvel exploded, and apparently that created her powers, or her persona of Miss Marvel. Although she didn't know it at the time, but apparently later on it started manifesting. Right.
Yeah, that's Corwin is the Destructor.
Corwin, yeah, that's him.
Yeah, and she saw a friend of hers, her psychiatrist, Dr. Michael Barnett, and he discovered that she was actually Miss Marvel, but didn't have a chance to tell her. So she still didn't know at this point.
Right. She just became Miss Marvel in his arms and took off. Yeah.
Yep. Took off. Yeah. Exactly. And Destructor, she gets blasted by Destructor, but they're both knocked out. Right. I think that's how this one ends.
Yeah, that's right. There's one thing that maybe we should talk about her power sets here at this point. She has what they call a 7th sense, which was it's like a prophetic vision.
Yep.
Unfortunately, so it's a good plot device to get her into fracases and so forth. But unfortunately, it never has a resolution. She only gets like parts of it. So she knows something's going to happen, but she doesn't know what the end result is.
Right.
Which is very convenient for plot device.
It doesn't seem that her visions or her premonitions aid her much in preventing what's going to happen. Ultimately, it seems like they oftentimes do come to fruition, but it at least puts her in the area she needs to be to have a chance to stop whatever. Because it's never good premonitions; they always seem to be bad ones.
No.
And it puts her in
exactly right. It's never, it's always something. Oh, something's going to happen here. I got to be there. There's a building about to fall or something. Right. Yeah.
Right.
But so But her power sets, she's obviously at this point, very strong. They said 10 men at some point. No way. It's more like 1,000 men, right?
Yeah.
She can fly.
Yep.
But
at first,
not
it's because
not naturally.
Correct.
Right. It had to do with the suit. Right. But we'll talk about that in a bit. And then she also has the ability to have an energy shield so that she doesn't get hurt and can even survive in space, you know,
correct.
And so forth. So I think Conway had a certain idea about how she was going to be going forward, and Claire might kind of change things a little bit.
Yep.
But ultimately, yeah, it ends kind of in a cliffhanger. But the Scorpion is taken away, but these two are, you know, just knocked out at the end. Yeah.
Right.
All right. You want to take this one?
That's number 3.
3, the Doomsman, right?
Yeah. Doomsday Man, right?
Doomsday Man. Yeah. What did I say?
So
the Doomsman?
she resumes her battle with Destructor. AIM arrives, Destructor gets away, and the AIM headquarters is beneath is it Alden's, a department store.
Alden's department store.
Alden's department store.
Yeah.
And they're using a psycho conditioner to destroy the will of Destructor. They launch a private rocket with Doomsday Man on board, and his mission is to sabotage the NASA rocket launch that's planned at Cape Canaveral. I think he succeeds in that, but ultimately Miss Marvel stops Doomsday Man because they both crash to Earth. And that crash is what removes that mental block that prevented her from realizing that Carol Danvers and Miss Marvel are one and the same.
One and the same,
because they almost had like a Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze type relationship prior to that, where one resented the other. And I think that kind of helped alleviate some of that angst and friction between the two sides of her personality.
Yeah, agreed. We also meet her friend Salia Petrie, I think, who's an astronaut.
Yeah.
Yep. Petrie. That's right. Petrie. And she goes to the Cape to cover a female astronaut launch when all this happens. You know, right?
Yep.
And so here's where you can tell that she can actually survive in space and all that, and very tough. I mean, she takes some major blasts and ultimately falls down to Earth with the Doomsman from the stratosphere and is still, shaken up a little bit. She should be a cinder, but because of all that stuff.
It is wild that she could survive in space, but she needed a special breathing apparatus for the water. You remember that later on in the series?
Well, that later on when the costume was deactivated. So
is that why?
Remember, at this point, the costume.
I knew it was her natural powers, but yeah,
right, yeah. Okay, at this point, well, I think it's number 4, right? I think it's number 4 or 5, where MODOK does an X-ray or something of her and figures out that her costume has some kind of electronic gizmo which allows her to fly, gives her the energy shield and the ability to survive in space, through the oxygenation inside, et cetera, and a bunch of other little things. Yeah. So they crash down there, and in the cave where she was created way back with the magnetron, this guy thinks there's going to be weapons and all this stuff there.
Yeah, the Destructor's looking for some Kree technology to use as a weapon.
Right. Since he's sort of broken the mind meld, the mind sapper that MODOK has on him, and he finds instead this cavorite crystal. I think it's called cavorite.
Yeah, I say cavorite, but maybe it's cavorite.
Oh. Okay, well, who knows how to pronounce these things?
Yeah.
Right. And this becomes important because it's a huge power source, and for various issues, this is all over the place. They the later on it's it's important for the elementals and so forth. Changing talent. Well, the writer was Claremont, but the artist, man, it was a revolving door.
It was.
But we had here. I think we had even Sal Buscema was in here. Infantino
Mooney,
later on.
Ed Hannigan, yep.
Jim Mooney was a lot. Mike Vosberg,
Rich Buckler, just goes on and on.
So
yes.
Yeah, it just goes on and on. Yeah, it just seemed like whoever was off that month, was on this book.
Yep.
But the art was mostly okay. I mean, nothing spectacular. No, Buscema was obviously really good, but everybody else was, average to middling.
Yep.
Anyway, so she, this thing was so powerful it blinded him. This guy, and he couldn't even. In fact, it took away all his senses. So he just ran out the cave,
blasting everywhere. Yeah.
Right. He was like, ah.
And it causes a cave in.
Right. And ultimately, I think this was returned to NASA or Shield, or I forgot, Bill, which one.
I thought it was returned
to
Shield.
The Cavorite thing.
Yeah.
Shield. Okay. All right. Then we got this beauty here.
That one
number
so tropish where they don't know. So the two superheroes don't know, so they fight one another, But she, Dr. Barnett reveals that he knows that she's Miss Marvel in this issue. When he offers to help, she walks out and leaves. She heads to Stark Industries to interview a female employee of theirs for Woman Magazine. And she has another seventh sense of danger, changes into Miss Marvel, and follows a truck that's a Stark Enterprises truck that's carrying radioactive material. The driver was replaced by a robot, I think, by MODOK. And Vision appears, and he prevents her from stopping the truck. And after they battle quickly, then realize, hey, why are we fighting? Let's team up together to stop this truck. They do, and the robot, but they don't know who's behind it. At this point, or at least in this issue, I don't think. Yeah,
the robot wants to blow it up and essentially take out like half the state.
Yeah.
Many study missile. Yeah. But she's supposed to be Marvel Supergirl. Yeah. Now notice the name, right? Carol Danvers. What's Supergirl's name?
Yeah.
Linda Danvers.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I think
that's not by accident.
No, that's not by accident. Yeah, that's not by accident. And notice she has blonde hair, red and blue. We could be here all night with the similarities, but anyway.
Yep.
So one of those very tropish issues. You're right about that. All right, let's get this going here.
Yeah, so that was a good one.
What was that?
So the first issue of Woman Magazine comes out, and it's a success, right? And Jay Jonah, he wants to, I don't know if he wants to congratulate or yell at Miss Marvel, but she passes out again. She was doing that a lot, right? At this point in time, she couldn't control her transformations. So she would pass out, have a vision, and then change into Miss Marvel and go run off to whatever that premonition told her about. So in this case, there was a factory where an underground, like, dweller or someone who lives underground, grotesque, had surfaced because he wanted that Cavorite crystal. And he overpowers her pretty easily. They're both buried in the factory rubble, but he's the only one that emerges triumphant and sort of braggadocious to a certain extent.
Yeah, and takes off with the crystal. Because he wants revenge on the human race because atomic bomb or test or something destroyed his race, underground.
Correct. That's exactly right.
So he's like, he doesn't care. Hey, how you doing, Brandon? He doesn't care. He just wants to destroy the human race. Yeah.
Shop for Comics. How are you, sir?
Here we go to number 7. Hey, Shop, how you doing, buddy?
So yeah, Miss Marvel survived that factory crumbling. She fell into a cavern, and she gets
cavern, right?
I don't know, rescued, more like kidnapped by AIM. And they try to give her powers to one of their agents. That didn't work. So then they try to condition her mind to be loyal to AIM. And that didn't work.
Right,
either.
because the costume was burned out by the Cavorite crystal or something over by Grotesque. That thing, that explosion. So that MODOK thought, oh, I can put that costume on my Agent 17 and she'll have the powers, but he didn't know that it was burned out. So she has powers, but not through the costume anymore. Now they absorbed into her or something. I forgot, Bill, exactly what happened.
Right. Well, it was the molecular. She got Kree molecules in her along with the human molecules during that explosion. I think the Cavorite crystal kind of activated or helped those combine into one versus having the dual identity. And MODOK tries to get her to fall in love with her, which didn't work either.
No.
She breaks free, finds their headquarters in the department store, but she changes to Carol and hightails it out of there.
Right. And doesn't she run into another faction of AIM, or is that another issue I'm thinking about?
Yeah, I think that's later when they're battling.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, MODOK leading one faction, like the red against the yellow. No, the blue against the yellow.
Yeah,
I think,
the blue against the yellow. Yeah, because MODOK has the blue guys and then the yellow, and they're both like in the same vicinity. It's weird, It's just bizarre. Weird. That Alden's department store is. I tell you something else.
It's a big department store.
Oh man, I tell you, right?
Must be huge.
Okay, here we go.
Such a great cover,
isn't that? And the scene happens in the comic too, so it's very relevant.
Keith Pollard, the cover art.
Yeah. Oh, one of my favorites. Such an underrated artist.
Really was.
So Miss Marvel, since she knew she knew she was under Alden's, right? She goes to S.H.I.E.L.D. and says, "Hey, guess what? I know where AIM is here in New York City. They're in Alden's department store." So they go down there with all this sophisticated equipment, and they don't find Jack. They can't find anything because they're being jammed by the AIM scientists.
That's right. They're like, sure they are, Miss Marvel. Thanks a lot. Do your drugs in your own time. Leave us out of it.
Right. So, but she gets another one of those visions, I think, Bill, where Grotesque is using the Cavorite crystal and some kind of technology to augment it and blow up the planet or some sort of thing. And it's by a bay or something, by water. I forgot exactly where it was. So they're fighting tooth and nail. Again, Miss Marvel. Go ahead.
Well, she's in a bar, interviewing. And I only mentioned because I think it was important.
Tracy?
Yeah, she's interviewing Tracy Burke. She's a photojournalist, and she sees some robbers that come in there, and she defeats them as Carol. So I do think that was kind of important, just to reinforce that she's not reliant upon the costume for any of her powers.
Right. Well, she has abilities of her own. She knows martial arts. She was a tough cookie. Certainly. She was, but absolutely. She doesn't think she has powers as Carol Danvers, I think, at this point.
Correct.
So
but that confirms that she does, yes.
Yeah, so but it turns out that she it turns out that she does. But yeah, they go through a big struggle, and Grotesque thinks she's drowned. But again, here at this point, she doesn't have that energy shield thing. But she's a tough cookie, a real tough cookie. And she ends up not being drowned, just being kind of, dazed, I guess, and ultimately comes back and defeats Grotesque.
She's at the beach with
anything else you want to add?
Barnett, right?
Right.
Yeah, and Grotesque is trying
they're
to
walking
use
down the
Cavorite
beach.
crystal on a warp generator. And so
Right.
that's
That
what
was it. The warp generator. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that was it. That was it.
She
Yeah,
throws
that was
him
it.
into
Yeah,
the warp
that's right.
generator. Yeah.
And kaboom. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Destroying him
That was cool.
and recovering
Destroying.
the
Yeah. As destroyed as it gets. Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. She has the vision. So, and then she's out with Barnett, and she's like, "Hey, I recognize the that lighthouse or the whatever that is over there." Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all coming back to me now. I read some of these several weeks ago. So
Darren's misbehaving.
does she have power to get in the kitchen and whip up? Oh boy, that you can get in big trouble here, Brandon. With that. Yeah.
Oh, number 9.
So again, yeah, this is a good issue. MODOK again is really peeved here at Ms. Marvel. He thinks, hey, if I don't get rid of her, she's going to be coming after me because she's very tenacious. Moves away from Nova Man. And this is the first appearance. This is the first appearance of Deathbird, which is I think she's a Shi'ar.
Yep.
And she's working for MODOK. So she's actually looking for something else, but finds her, I think. And just says, "Oh, she's target, B, or I don't know what it was."
Right.
Yeah, and they fight, but whatchamacallit? But what happens here is that, hold on, let me take my notes here. Bill, take over. I'll look at my notes here.
Yeah, so they battle to a draw, right? And then Carol returns to her apartment. She finds out it's been blown up. And while at the office, she gets introduced to a new staff member for the magazine that Jonah hired.
Tiffany?
Tabitha. Maybe it is
yeah.
Tiffany. Townsend, I think.
Townsend, right.
Maybe it's
right.
Tiffany Townsend. She returns to the department store, right? Carol does. AIM captures her again. And then it's at that point that the headquarters is attacked by MODOK and Deathbird, who had just escaped the battle with Miss Marvel previously, and the rival AIM faction. So it's AIM versus
That's
AIM
right.
essentially at the end of that one.
AIM versus AIM. Yeah. Now, notice something, Bill, here. Notice.
That's exactly right.
No more midriff.
Yep.
Yeah. And to my knowledge, Bill, this was never explained. It just went away.
Yeah, I suspect
the back
that yes, that they got some complaints about it. With this type of comic book, at least dealing with some feminist issues, I suspect that they got some backlash, and ultimately, that's why they did it. Although, I don't
no doubt,
that,
Bill,
and I don't remember it being explained. So,
yeah, no doubt, that's what happened.
Hey, Sly,
and
how are you?
Hey, Ranger Sly, how you doing? Yeah, no doubt, and there are a few panels from now on where the colorist, I think, is confused and actually puts pants on her too. I see a few of those from here on, like 3 or 4 times I've seen it in panels. And she still has the scarf. Are you frozen or am I?
Am I frozen?
Oh, not anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore.
You got me?
Okay.
So I was looking.
Yeah, I got you.
There's some naked XYZ online strips without closing that keeps popping up into the chat, so I keep blocking. that.
Okay. You're.
I figured it's probably this guy right here, Jason, Southern Comic Geek. What's going on, Jason? Are you advertising naked HDXYZ online strips without clothing? So Lasso says, I don't think it was explained, but the reason I read was the colorist had problems with it more than anything else. Was it Marie Severin at this point? I know she was the colorist in the beginning. I don't know if she was at this point.
I don't know. I could take a look. And she even appeared in the comic, by the way. At when one of the offices there. Colorist Phil Richardson on this one. So, but they kind of jump back and forth on the colorist. That wasn't That wasn't a like.
Brandon's close to
Usually, it
being
wouldn't
put in
steady
timeout.
as the male captain. Oh yeah, she could.
Yeah, he's being a bad boy right now.
Yeah, he's being a bad boy. Yeah, he's being a bad boy. So here's like the big battle with MODOK. She was captured as Carol Danvers, but again, she goes in there, right? And now MODOK is trying to fight AIM and the AIMs, and then she's kind of caught in the middle.
Yeah, she is.
Of that with Deathbird, yeah. Yellow and blue battle stuff, and with Deathbird kind of like there, but I think at the end she's like, that's it. I mean, I'm out of here.
Right.
She's supposedly killed, I think, in this issue, I believe.
Correct. See. So what happens is Miss Marvel learns from the Yellow AIM leader who's dying that MODOK wants to take control of the AIM space station, shoot himself into orbit with their Bronx missile silo that they have.
Right.
So she heads there. She's like, all right, I'm going to stop this dude. And battles Deathbird while MODOK does escape. Deathbird is, there we go, killed by the rocket exhaust. And Miss Marvel ends up aborting the launch. And the missile ejects an escape pod into the city. And when she goes, tracks it down, it's empty. MODOK's not in there. So he managed to.
MODOK's gone. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, MODOK's gone. Yeah, this kind of reminded me of that scene in Moonraker. 007 Moonraker, where the guy would put them in that bottom office and they take off in the shuttle. Yes, yeah.
I've never seen any James
so I kind of
I wouldn't know.
Boy. I'd tell you. Well, it kind of did remind me of that. But yeah, supposedly she was killed, but again, she's Shi'ar, not human, and she says that later on she's gonna come back. I don't think there's any news to that. So this was an interesting story arc because here we get some crossover with supernatural thrillers, and that cast. I'm not going to get into that because it's a long, drawn-out story. But again, I think she gets another one of those visions.
That issue.
What was that?
That's where Sal Buscema comes in with that issue. You had mentioned him earlier.
Oh, Sal Buscema. Right. So again, she fights these elemental guys, and there's Hydron, Magnum, and Hellfire. I want to say, yeah,
might be.
And then there's and there's Hecate.
Oh, I thought it was
right. And they're after Hecate.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Is it Hecate?
Maybe it's
it might be
like a Greek type pronunciation for it.
I didn't see an accent, but it could be. It could be. And they're
to report on Salia Petrie, right?
Right, exactly. Right. And again, she's going up into space or into the space station.
Right.
And she gets one of those visions of trouble with the space launch, and the space shuttle blows up, and Salia Petrie is floating in her suit.
Hey, Alex.
But also there's trouble. Hey, how you doing, guys? There's also trouble down at Saracen Bay, which is one of the communication spots for the shuttle. And again the Cavorite crystal thing again, right?
Yeah.
That these guys are after it because if they possess it, they amplify their power infinitely or something to that effect. So she comes upon them on that bay. They battle. Again, there's the plot with the supernatural thrillers guys, but that's really not that important here. And then they do get the crystal, and they encase her in. Is that the next issue or this issue?
Yeah.
Where the three of them work together and encase her in this crystal.
Yeah, it's on the cover, I think, in the next.
But she breaks out of it eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the next issue. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah. Because, she has a premonition
about... At the end of this one... Yeah, at the end of this one is where we see the Hecate or whoever, and says, we need this crystal, and it's a vital importance, that kind of thing.
Right.
And let me see my notes on this one.
So yeah, she had a premonition about the rocket exploding with Salia and her being trapped in space.
Right.
She battles and defeats the elementals, but then she's blasted from behind. And that's when she realizes she's facing, when she comes to, Hecate and her sand elementals, essentially. But there it is. That's the next one.
Yeah, she's pretty powerful. Yeah, she supposedly has all the powers. But Carol Danvers wants to force the change and go up and get Salia. But Ms. Marvel persona at this point says, no, the whole planet is at risk. I can't do that for one person. So she forcibly keeps Carol Danvers from reverting her to that persona. Although even if she did, I don't see how she could do anything. But anyway.
Right. Yeah, because she needs to stop the elementals from getting the ruby scarab too, right? That's something that they were after.
Right. That's part of the captured stuff. Yeah.
Someone named Zephyr who was with them to force Olden and Harper, who are also with them, to give up this ruby scarab, and it worked. And they attack Miss Marvel, and they attack Hecate, which leads to the issue with Salia's rocket. And you're right, Hecate turns into the living mummy, and that's the supernatural. Are you there, Roger?
I'm here.
You are there, right? One of us.
Here I am. Here I am. I'm here.
All right.
Yeah. All right. No, it was me. That was me.
And Miss Marvel gets the scarab, but then I think she blames Hecate for Salia's death too, right?
Yeah. Well, she Carol Danvers blames Hecate and Miss Marvel. Yeah.
Miss Marvel, right?
Yeah.
What's going on,
but
Russ? Good to see you.
Hey, Russ. But one of the elementals wants to keep the power, the scarab for himself,
right?
And essentially says, I'm gonna keep it. Hecate, I'm not giving it to you when it was, turn it over. So they all battle there. Hey, Damien, how you doing? So they all battle for it, and eventually Ms. Marvel and Hecate team up.
Correct.
To defeat that Magnum guy. And you're right. She turns into the living mummy because they're scared of him because they were defeated by him in the past. Yeah. So because he's so powerful that she had to distract him. So Ms. Marvel would come from behind get him and drop the crystal. Yeah.
Misdirection.
And that's how they defeat it. Yeah. But so supposedly Salia Petri, they lost communication, and supposedly she thinks she's dead, and she has.
Even the whole chat's misbehaving, Roger.
Nice. All right, so then we go to this one. This is a quirky one. You can tell there was something else going on in the future, or that will be going on in the future, because we don't get a resolution here. She's going to a party on the USS Constitution, I think, with Barnett, I think it was.
Yes.
And it gets attacked, or either that. No, I don't think it was the Constitution. I think it was the Nimitz?
No, it was the USS Constitution.
Yeah. Another ship was attacked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're
while she was on there, another ship was attacked.
Yeah.
Right.
So she's visiting her parents.
And these two guys,
Boston, right?
Right. She's visiting her parents, right? Exactly, in Boston.
And it's at this point when we realize her exposure to the scarab is what perfectly syncs her Kree and human side. And so she shouldn't be having her blackouts anymore.
Right. Now
be able to change
at this point, she can change whenever she wants. And she realizes that they're both, the same person. Although you still get this different hairdo when they change. But
anyway. Which is awesome.
Yeah. But there's not a lot here that we don't know what happened here. Sapper is absorbing the power from the nuclear engine or something or other on that battleship.
It's an alien robot, right?
Yeah. And this guy doesn't even we never find out what his name is. You're right. He's robotic. He's got this ionic sword.
Yeah. He's like his Sapper's minion or something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Essentially they battle, but Ms. Marvel, they get away and we don't know what they're up to really. All we know is he absorbed a bunch of power. Chris Claremont scripted from
3 on.
3 on. Yeah, right. And I think that's pretty much it, Bill. I don't know if you want to add something on this one.
Well, her father has a near accident at the construction site that he's on, so that's just kind of like they're planting that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right.
He's there.
Her father works in a construction firm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he has to rescue this guy off an I-beam, and he finds out it's because the materials are shoddy and substandard.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So he's going to blow the whistle on the construction owner, which we'll get to in 14.
Yeah.
14, he takes on the Steeplejack. Was a Power Man villain.
Second,
any kind of construction scene, you need Steeplejack. But right. her father, she's visiting him in the office. He's calling the owner, the Plum or somebody, and he says, "Listen, you got to call off the construction of this building. Yeah, it's shoddy. It's a disaster waiting to happen." And he's like, "No, I can't afford to do that. It's if you do that, I'm gonna get you." Blah, blah, blah. And we find out later that the construction owner owes money to the mafia or some loan shark or something and underbid everybody so that he could get money out of it. So her father is working at night, I think, on the site. And this guy shows up, Steeplejack, to kill him. And he has a gun which is has a torch and a rivet gun and a bunch of other functions like that.
Well, prior to that,
he almost kills. What was her father's name? Bob Danvers. What was his name?
Mr. Danvers.
Mr. Danvers. Right. Okay.
But doesn't he fall prior to Steeplejack coming in and she saves him from the fall?
Yes, that's right. He gets by that gun and then he avoids it, but he falls and she saves him. Although he like J. Jonah Jameson is none too happy about it.
Right. I think that's prior to Steeplejack showing up. He falls and he's very sexist and doesn't thank her and is angry that she interfered. And then it was later when he was there again. That's when Steeplejack showed up because she had a premonition, another one of her 7 senses of her father being threatened. So she goes there and saves him from Steeplejack. And that's when they unmask him and realize that it's Max Plum, who was the former employer of the original Steeplejack.
Correct. And he found his stuff in his apartment and he stole it. And that's how he, was going. He was going to get rid of Joe Danvers, right?
Joe Danvers.
He was going to get rid of him because he was going to blow the whistle on him. So Ms. Marvel stopped.
And at the very end, her mom kind of winks. Yeah, I know that you're Miss Marvel, Carol, kind of thing. And there's a Dracula appearance in this too. She's stalked by Dracula.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. There's a cameo. He's stalking her. And she flies away, and he's like, "It's not very often that a prey gets away from me." It's really cool little cameo.
Prey. Yeah.
It's a good thing he didn't because that would have been a heck of a battle. Let me tell you, I would have liked to see that one.
Oh yeah.
Yep. All right, so here we got Tiger Shark
Great
coming
cover.
into the fray here. There's actually a cameo here by
cover.
Wondar. Yeah, look at that. That's Namorita, although she was in street clothes in here,
Right.
but later on she was dressed like this. Yeah. So Tiger Shark wants revenge on Namor. He's like constrained by Shield, and the I don't know, was it the military or somebody wants to strike a deal with him, or was it just for containment sake? No, it was the deal was with Sabretooth. Yeah. I'm confusing those two. Yeah, they're trying, but the truck crashes that he was being transported in, and he starts just wailing, just throwing stuff around. Ms. Marvel gets another one of those visions,
Yep.
But she's actually looking for an apartment, right?
Right, because she's at a hotel now, and
she's at a hotel,
previous apartment was blown up. Right. So
so after that, after he gets,
she learns that her office has been broken into, and that Tiger Shark has kidnapped Namorita, and so she battles him, but then he escapes into the water, and that's when she's like, "Well, I can't breathe in the water, so I can't follow him. What am I going to do?"
Right. So she goes to Avengers Mansion.
That's in 16, though.
And
I think, right?
Was that in 16?
Yeah,
it could
16.
Be. Yeah,
she goes to Avengers Mansion. Yeah.
Right. Here's where he throws Wondar out of the apartment. And then she battles Wondar for a few panels, and then she goes to the apartment and finds out that Namorita's been captured because Tiger Shark wants revenge on Namor, and the only way he can attract him is by kidnapping her cousin, his cousin. And yeah, when he goes into the water, she's like, right, yeah, when he goes into the water, she's like, that's his element. I won't have a chance.
Right.
So so that goes to 16. Yeah, where she goes to Avengers Mansion, because remember, her costume can no longer create that energy shield. So this is something we didn't know, Bill. She's a scientific genius. Overnight, she comes up with a pill that allows her to breathe underwater for 90 minutes.
Yeah, why they didn't have her work with Beast to do that, I don't get it. But yeah, she wanted to use their lab to create this. And at first, but she bursts in there, of course.
Yeah,
so
she
they
broke the door down.
Yeah,
she could have knocked. No.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a battle with the Beast and the Scarlet Witch, and then there's the explanation, and then of course they let her use the lab. And
there goes the chat. What's going on, Bubsy?
Hey. And she cuts that pill and a tracker. A tracker that somehow tracks Namorita. I wasn't clear how that worked, but whatever. Right. So she tracks him to this old sunken ship.
An old battleship.
Battleship. Namorita's chained down there. So she finds her. Of course, Tiger Shark starts attacking her, and she's also attacked by this giant squid. I mean, Tiger Shark wasn't enough. They had to throw a giant squid to get her as well. She's running out of oxygen, but she finally just pounds Tiger Shark to the point where I think he's unconscious or something. But it's too late. She can't make it to the surface. But apparently Namorita comes in, swoops her, takes her to a part of the ship with an oxygen hole. It had some oxygen in it. And now she's in one of those Atlantean ships going back to land, apparently. And Namorita and the Atlanteans will take care of Tiger Shark. In other words, take care of them. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Yeah, this was a good issue because they also introduced the element of time, because the pills only have a finite amount of time which will allow her to breathe underwater. So the clock was ticking as soon as she went down in there to get Tiger Shark. She did successfully knock him out, but then lost consciousness herself. And when she came to, she was on that rescue ship with Namorita. And Tiger Shark was in custody.
Is this the one where we first find out about Mystique?
Yeah, 17 was her first cameo, right? I think. Oh, 16.
Didn't she appear
maybe 16 was her first cameo. I can't remember. She had 2 cameos in a full. So was it 16, 17, and 18? Is that what it was?
No, I think it was 16. Yeah, because she appeared somewhere saying, "Hey, where she saw Ms. Marvel. Hey, I gotta get her. I gotta get her." And we don't know why. We don't know who it was. It's just like a shadowy figure, I think. But we gotta get her, right? But that was it. That was just a short little thingy.
Okay, then she had another cameo in 17, and then the first full appearance in 18, I think.
Right. Here she masquerades as Nick Fury. Yeah. Here she masquerades as Nick Fury throughout, and they break into, was it the Shield helicarrier or a Shield base? Yep. I forgot which one it is.
Yep, Shield helicarrier.
Yeah. And she, because she's mimicking Nick Fury, she has the eyes and the voice, the whole bit. They get into the weapons cache, and they get this armor for this guy Ballard. Was it Ballard?
Yes, Jeffrey Ballard.
Okay, take over there, Bill, while I get some water here.
Yeah, so Jeffrey Ballard and her get aboard the Shield helicarrier because they want to access the Centurion project, which is a top secret project. Prior to this, she has a vision of battling to the death, or a premonition of battling to the death. Her co-workers try to cheer her up, but then it kind of breaks over to Mystique breaking into the top secret project. And then it shifts back toward the end to Carol having a snowball fight with her co-workers. They're all kind of hamming it up, trying to cheer her up. She has a kiss with Frank Gianelli, who is one of her employees, essentially. He's one of the reporters. Yeah. And as she's flying home from her rendezvous of a snowball fight, hanging out with the other staff of Woman Magazine, she's blasted out of the sky. We don't know at that point who got her.
Right. And this armor and this gun is no joke.
Well, if the chat wasn't in
hey,
danger
Raul, thanks, buddy.
With Bub's arrival, now we've got Raul, highly a comic bro.
Oh man. So yeah, right. Okay. So
that was 17.
Right. So yeah, this guy is so bad. He's so tough, right? Then because the Wasp goes in and shoots the guy before he was about to kill Ms. Marvel. He had already injured her and hit him on the shoulder or something. And the Wasp comes in and rescues her. And calls in the rest of the Avengers. Well, at least these Avengers: Wonder Man, Vision, Yellow Jacket, and Scarlet. I think Scarlet Witch was already around there. Floating heads and a floating arm. Yeah, right. And this guy and the armor thing. I mean, they give him he has a disintegrator. So, if it hits anybody, even the Vision is kind of weary because even intangible it him a little bit. So he blasts Wonder Man with the disintegrator, and it doesn't kill him. It just disintegrates everything around him. Really cool battle scenes in here with that Centurion armor guy. Go ahead, Bill. I'm sorry, my throat is dry as a bone.
That's all right. So yeah, the Avengers are arguing among themselves how they're going to take care of this, and Miss Marvel just tosses Wonder Man into Centurion, and that kind of ends the argument. She uses power plant dynamos to jolt his armor, and I think while this is going on Planet Hala, they're kind of planting this for later, where I can't remember. Fedor, right? Fedor and another
Yes, Fedor.
Fundal or something like that. They think the Supreme
Bundal.
Bundal, there we go.
Yeah.
They think the
Bundal,
Supreme Intelligence is in stasis, right? Which isn't the case. I think that she tosses, so she short circuits Centurion's armor, tosses his blaster into the sky, and he's unmasked as that guy who was with Mystique, George Bullard, right?
Bullard, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first time we see Mystique as her real form. I think
correct.
One panel or two. And she wants her dead. We're not sure why, but she wants her dead, right? Sweet cover for sure. Yeah. Action. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, Hala was
even Avengers can die.
To the girls in high school.
Look what it says up there. Special suit guest star issue. Special.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, they knew they were on something, I guess.
You think, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So here, finally, Kachoon, finally, we see Captain Marvel here.
That's right.
The okay. So what you were saying about them, that they destroyed the house where they were staying, and now the Ronin was kind of like he was like mentally out of it because of what happened in Captain Marvel's comic. But now the Supreme Intelligence has reawakened the real Ronin, I guess. And,
yes, I think you're onto something, Jackson.
He's coming after Ms. Marvel. What do you say?
He said 19 is a great cover too. It is.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. So and because he wants her because he believes that she could be like the progenitor of the ultimate Kree race. Oh, it's good. It's good. Because the Kree have hit an evolutionary end. So, and because supposedly her origins as human, as the more advanced evolutionary state of human and Kree, that it could make them a more powerful race. Something to that effect. Okay, maybe I muffled that a bit. But Captain Marvel finds out what happened to the previous Kree where Ronan was staying, and tracked Ronan as he was about to put the kibosh on Miss Marvel.
Right.
He takes his ultimate weapon, but even without it, Ronan is too powerful, and both of them are captured.
Correct. Yeah.
Ronan knocks them both a little out. Bit, just a little bitty bit.
Puts him in his spaceship, and led by the Supreme Intelligence, he probes Carol's mind. And at the end of the issue, Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel, they break free, defeat Ronan, and they escape. But yes, definitely that is part of the attraction of this particular issue, I think, this cover.
Oh boy, Bub and the guys.
And that's Roger's favorite cover artist, JR, with that one.
Yeah, well, no more need be said there. And then the other Kree take Ronan, and she threatens the Supreme Intelligence. She says, if you or any of your agents ever mess with Earth or me again, you're not going to like what you're going to be seeing. So they take Ronan, and they're taking him back to the Kree homeworld for, so that they know that he's reawakened. Okay.
Right.
This is also the last time we see this costume. Okay.
Tim, what's going up? Good to see you, sir. Glad
hey, buddy. So,
there it is.
So now, there it is. There, Lasso, there's your lightning bolt.
That's right.
No longer do we have that weird scarf, which had no function except for her foes to have greater reach on her. She did say in the previous issue that she liked not having the shoulder constraints because that her costume had ripped at the shoulders. So she redesigned this with the help of Janet Pym. Thank you, Mr. Cockrum. Yes, that's right. Dave Cockrum came up with this costume, and he does the interior art and this cover as well. And yes, he much better. That derivative costume just never really worked for me, but a lot of people, perhaps liked it. So one of her reporters is in New Mexico,
right?
And she gets she finds something going on down there, and she's being chased by something, and then she calls an emergency frequency, but then it's cut off, and a bunch of people have disappeared. Yep. So Carol Danvers goes to investigate, why her employee is missing. And she runs afoul of this lizard being, tremendous strength, and very tough. She nails him various times, and he just no problem. We find out that in fact there's a whole civilization of these lizard creatures that evolved from atomic tests in the 30s and 40s, right. I guess.
40s, yes.
And they're now intelligent. They have their own society in this cavern. But they are very suspicious of humans, and if one of them sees them, they can't let them leave and let the rest of society know that they exist. So,
right.
But for whatever reason, they capture Carol Danvers, but they don't strip her of the clothes like everybody else. They keep her, I guess for the comics code, they couldn't strip her out of that.
Yeah.
At first I thought you were going to say that they were caused by a gamma bomb. No, it was atomic bomb. I don't think they said gamma bomb in here, but it was New Mexico. But the gamma bomb was in the 60s. This was back in the 40s.
But yeah, because the military had been attacked as well. Their vehicles had been strewn all over, but the military wasn't willing to work with her. She had to get a local sheriff to take her out to the site, and found the car, Sharon Cole's car, the reporter who was there. And that's when the lizard people attacked her. They had a leader, and the leader ordered another lizard, Heyman, to shoot his eye beams. And that's what knocked her out. And then they took her into their secret lair in the mountain. Yeah. Yeah. She wanted to talk and, see what was up. She wanted to make it civil, right. But, they did that, and they captured her and took her back to their lair, as you said. So we find out that all those people that had disappeared, well, they were eating people initially, right? But then later on, they said, no, we're not going to be eating people anymore. That's just, right. that's not. I guess they got a little more civilized. They just captured them and held them in their city for some reason. Yeah, they imprisoned them indefinitely. Right.
Yeah, yeah. I said, well, that's better, I guess. And because
that's a great cover and I like that cover.
Yeah, it is. Look at that snake structure. Yeah. Yep. She's a little small there, but look at that, holding like Hercules there.
Right. Right.
So she talks to all the military guys are there, the police. Not all the military guys. Some of them are out, still knocked out, but a lot of the people that had disappeared were there, and she wants to free them. So she goes to talk to the leader again. She says, "Look, I don't want to fight you."
Bye, Ryan. Good luck with your show. Appreciate it.
Oh, take care, buddy. Take care. We want to find a civilized way of resolving this. But while the leader is talking, one of the lizard beings just punches her and says, "Oh, we don't have to talk to you. We're gonna kill you. That's what you." And again, she fights and the whole bit. And the structure here is coming down, but the wife and daughter of, was it the leader or one of the other lizard, one of the other guys, she saves him Oh yeah, Haman's. I think it was Haman's
Mhm.
wife and daughter, and then he sees that, and you would think, okay, well, he's gonna turn a new leaf. No, he shoots her, and supposedly buries her under this structure with the snake and the
Right.
whole bit. And everybody thinks that she's dead. The leader too. She shows up at the leader's house though. She's still alive. And he thinks he's just going to kill her, but she doesn't. She says, "No, I don't. I want to show you that I'm civilized and that we don't have to do that." So they come to an agreement finally that she promises that she's not going to reveal the location of the lizard people, and Haman is going to give some kind of mind wipe to all the other humans so that they didn't know where the lizard people were, and
Right.
everybody went their merry way.
But there was one key part. She does actually kill their greatest warrior, the Guardian.
That's right, the big snake.
Yeah, and
That's
she
right.
says, "I will destroy your entire civilization
Right.
if you don't let them go." And that
Right.
was
and
the arm twisting.
That was true. That was the arm twist. Although she didn't mean to kill the snake.
Correct.
She just hit him, and a stalagmite impaled him through the jaw. But she used that to her advantage. Yeah, definitely.
Correct.
As leverage. Yeah.
And when she got back to her
Okay, we're getting to the end here, people.
When she got back to her apartment, there was a gift of a small lizard that they sent her, kind of like, "Hey, you need to realize that you have our secret. You hold our lives in your hands, so please."
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I think they sent her a bearded lizard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know those lizard people had a mail service. That was interesting.
Hey, they got around. They managed. So yes, that's number 22.
Yeah. Look at that. Deathbird is back. Go ahead, Bill. My throat again.
1979, right? That's a Cockrum cover. So Carol was fired from the editorship of Woman Magazine by Triple J. So she leaves. As she's leaving the Bugle, she's attacked again by Deathbird, who we thought had perished in the rocket exhaust of MODOK's alleged escape. So she's attacked by Deathbird. Ultimately, they battle. Deathbird escapes. Carol goes to her new apartment, and her friends are there, and they threw her a surprise party, kind of like a "Hey, cheer up, we know you're fired, but you were great" kind of thing. Tracy, the woman that Jonah hired, she ultimately takes Carol's position, but she wanted to make sure Carol was cool with it. But all of the regulars are there. Frank Gianelli, Dr. Barnett, some guy named Sam Adams. They're all vying for her affection. And she flies off just because she just doesn't want to deal with it right now. She finds Deathbird again and some thieves who are robbing Stark Industries, a warehouse. They're looking for some spaceship building material, and she starts battling them, stops that, but then Deathbird escapes after dropping a whole bunch of rubble on Miss Marvel. Actually, she helps Miss Marvel save these people. Then she drops all the rubble on her, saying, "Hey, all's fair." And then she escapes, and Miss Marvel does get thanked by a man and his daughter that were saved, and that I think was a poignant part in the issue and the series.
Yeah, that's right. We also find out that Deathbird, she was doing that because she wanted to go home.
Correct.
Yeah. So apparently her motivation is not entirely evil. And she, like you said, she says, "I have a code, so I don't want innocents to die." But as soon as those innocents were saved, she attacked, like you said. So, the code only goes so far. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Carol got around that issue.
At least 3. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Barnett, Gianelli, and Sam Adams. Yeah. Yep. So this is the last regular published issue. And Salia Petrie shows up at her door. She was on a date, I think.
With Sam Adams, right.
Was she on a date with Sam Adams?
Yep.
Yeah. and he left. You know, it was late. It was early in the morning, and she invited him in for breakfast.
I
but
bet you did.
You know,
he had to go.
The one man in a million said no.
What's going on, Second Street?
Hey,
Marvel?
Second Street, how you doing?
Good to see you.
So Salia shows up at her door in her tattered astronaut suit.
Right. She's like, I thought you died in space.
Yeah, I thought you died, way back when, right?
Yeah.
So she takes her in an apartment. She cleans her up. But she calls the space station, the control center, and says, "Hey, I thought that Talia died." She goes, "Well, we lost contact with her biosuit, but everybody else died in the explosion. But she just went out. So apparently, when she was out there, she was pulled into the dry dock space station by what's that head thing guy?
The faceless one.
Oh man, the faceless one. That's right. Yeah. And she was he implanted something in her base of her skull to control her.
Right.
Or Captain Morgan. Yeah, nice. Yeah, nice. And with his armor, she has all these kinds of abilities, which make her a big threat.
Yep.
So she's taken up to the dry dock to that space station. After
Carol, right?
And then she attacks Carol and knocks her out
to the Guardians of the Galaxy space station. That's correct. The one that's controlled by the faceless one. Yeah. Right.
Apparently, it's a real huge part because the Vance Astro doesn't even know that guy's there, but he says, "Yeah,
it's
there's all kinds
like
of weird
Alden's department store, but in space."
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing, right? It's the Aldens in space. Yeah. So she manages to escape the faceless one, and she puts him in this pressure chamber to try to test her try to break her down and everything, but she turns it to Ms. Marvel and breaks out of there. And she finds Vance Astro.
Yep.
And she's like, "Hey, do you know what's going on in this other part of the space station? This guy is taking over, But Salia Petrie's after her, and they battle a few times, and finally they get back to the faceless one. She removes the head from the body of the faceless one, but apparently they can function regardless. Yeah, Claremont was something else. And then, but eventually he gets he has like this teleportation thing or something, gets away, and Vance Astro uses his psychokinesis to liberate Salia from the mind control device.
Right. Yeah. Because Miss Marvel used antifreeze or freezing coolant, some type of freezing coolant to destroy the android body of the faceless one. But then, yes, he got away.
Right.
After Salia was freed from the mind control, at that point, Miss Marvel reveals that, "Hey, I'm Carol," kind of thing. Reveals her secret to her.
Yep. Yeah, she was scared out of her wits. She was just panicking. So that she felt that was the way to, make her snap back into reality. And that's where the series ends. This is the last published issue. However, it was canceled. Number 24 was finished. It just was not published. But it was finally published here in 1992 in Marvel Superheroes 80-page summer special. And I'll show you the cover because they actually reprinted the cover. And it's a pretty good one too, Bill. She fights Sabretooth down in a subway. And there it is.
Yeah, that is a great cover, isn't it?
Look at that. Huh? With a subway train coming right at him. Cochran was really good at that. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, Bill, for that one. Just know that Sabretooth, here we kind of start to find out what Mystique has such a hot for her, right? That she thinks that Ms. Marvel is going to take away Rogue or somehow destroy her. But this one here, they just fight throughout the subway, and finally she pounds Sabretooth so hard in the neck that finally he gets unconscious. That's a tough dude because with his healing factor, he kept getting up even though she threw him into a train in the whole bit. Right?
Yeah.
Then finally, the final issue is here in Marvel Superheroes 100-page fall special, which is the next one, which this is Ms. Marvel number 25, but that was unfinished. We get something here, Bill, which I think is going to be the cover.
What's going on, Davey? Good to see you.
You see Mystique in that skull? Yeah. I think that was going to be the cover, but you see there's no trade dress or anything, so I don't know. Right. Maybe concept art. Yeah. So we finally, it's a cool issue. If you ever find this one, pick it up, because we find out she battles the Hellfire Club, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and Rogue, and we find out finally how Rogue took over and got her powers, and that was the end of Ms. Marvel, essentially, because in Avengers 10, she was rescued by Spider-Woman, and Rogue now has the powers of Ms. Marvel, and then she becomes binary, and then later on, it was retcon where she was actually a Kree, and so forth. So that's it. This is the last of that series that was planned to be published. It was partially finished, but I think they kind of added the little ending part here in this issue, so it jives with what happened in Avengers 10.
Yeah, and 79, issue number 24 was done completely, and about a third to a half of issue number 25 was done, and that's at that point they realized it was canceled. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. But what she didn't know is that essentially it was that Rogue would actually now have her Carol's mind, partially her memories, and that kind of harmed Rogue, but not in the way she thought. She didn't physically harm her, but her absorption of the powers kind of really threw her for a loop, and really made her, really, really crazy in a sense. But later on, she joined the X-Men to help with that situation. And that's it, Bill. I think that's it.
All right. Final thoughts, sir, for you on the series.
Okay. Final thoughts. I have mixed feelings about this series. I think the concept was good. I mean, it's as far as the conception of it. The execution was so-so. It's supposed to be somebody, feminist, but I think the writers tried to write a feminist from a male perspective, which really didn't work that well. She was more, I guess, a liberated woman, a career woman, than hardcore feminist, right? She didn't hate men. She didn't think that the society was male dominated per se. She just knew that there were pockets of men like J. Jonah Jameson, Joe Danvers, that guy in the military who were male chauvinists, but most people, she had a lot of lovers, etc. Her costume, those first issues, made no sense to me. Like, there's one little strip down the middle that sort of held it together, and how the Psych Magnetron created that costume, and then when the transfer occurred, the hero knew too.
The Psych Magnetron,
and then when she got her new costume,
it was a male Psych Magnetron.
Apparently he was a chauvinist. And then when the new costume comes in, she still changes the same way, but with the new costume. So a lot of things didn't make a lot of sense to me. Right? It was just kind of all over the place. The hit and run artists were described distracting. Carmine Infantino and Buscema are like as different as you can get.
Yep.
So it was hard to recognize that some of that was going, what was going on, who was who in some parts of the series. I think Claremont had a good vision, but he didn't have the time and he didn't have the crew to make it, to bring it all to fruition. So I would give this series somewhere in the C area, B- to C. As far as Bronze Age reading and art, I think it could have been a B with perhaps a little more female input and a little bit more stability on the artists. Honestly, I had a lot of fun reading this series, though, Bill. I really did. It had a lot of, subplots and had a lot of villains that were interesting. A lot of it did work. Some little guest stars like the Avengers and the Mary Jane relationship with Carol Danvers at the beginning.
Right.
You had all these little nuances that a lot of characters in and out, like Annabella, her landlord, Tracy. You had a lot of good supporting characters. That Claremont was really good about that. But I think overall it wasn't all it could be. So I put it in the B- category overall.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'd say C+ to B-. I too enjoyed it. Obviously, I love Marvel Bronze. I'm a mark for the trials and tribulations of the persona while going through the challenges of being a superhero or superheroine. I do think it was novel in how they tried to embrace the young female reader and bring her aboard by having a superheroine who was outspoken, who exemplified, or at least who modeled some of the philosophies of the women's liberation movement at the time. But I think where it kind of went wrong, and I think Claremont was good. I think it took him a while, maybe a little too long, to kind of get his feet on the ground with this title. And when it started getting real good, I think it was too late to save the series. I do think that what it suffered from was not committing too much in one direction. I think you either say, hey, you know what? We realize that as much as we're trying to bring in female readership, probably 80 to 90% of our readers are men, guys, boys. And so either you have an action-packed issue with some sexiness in it, or you say we're going to commit to having a really progressive, liberated comic book aimed at the teen to young adult female readership, and we really explore in depth some of these women's lib issues, and we try to develop a lot of these ancillary female characters, because really it was just Carol and mostly men, right? They had some women, but they were all shallow characters. They never developed them. They never got into the interplay or the relationship between them, things like that. And so I think they had one foot in each, and it didn't quite work. But I loved it. It was a great series. It's just there are others from that period that I liked better.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If you ask me, hey, is this worth a read? I'd say definitely. Because it was interesting to me that to look at it from that perspective, where you had in those years in the 70s, you had this movement coming over, and again, comics they emulate what society is moving towards, right? That's what pop culture, all that. So I thought it was interesting that they had Jameson as her polar opposite. I wish they would have explored that a little bit more.
Yes.
Like she got fired by a letter there. I mean, I would have liked a real argument there about why. There was a lot of missteps here that could have brought a lot of more interesting plot lines. You're right. The characters I think were good, but they weren't fleshed out. Tracy, you could tell she had an agenda. She wanted that position.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But she was loyal. So there was that, she was pulled in two different directions.
Right.
There was a little bit of that, but not enough. And I think they spent a lot of time on those other ancillary issues and not on the relationships, which would have helped.
Yeah, they brought in MJ in the beginning, and there could have been some great plot lines between the two of them, but she was gone as quickly as she was brought into the series. So
yeah, I think Conway wanted her in. Yeah, I think Conway wanted her in, and Claremont was like, no.
That could have been it. Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
All right, Bill. Are we going to spin the wheel?
Let's do it. So we're going to spin the wheel. We're going to take a look at the next series that we're going to explore in the retrospective. This will probably be in February, you think, Roger?
Yeah, late February, early March, somewhere in there.
All right. So let's show the wheel.
Yeah, Marie Severin was in an issue. She was actually part of the Woman magazine staff at some point there. Yeah.
All right. So how many times do you want to spin it, sir?
Oh, let's go for 3.
All right. Let's do it. Can you guys see the wheel? We good?
Yeah, congratulations on 600 subs, Bill. I'm hearing this. Hold on. Yeah, 601. Yeah, nice.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. As long,
I
think I keep going back between. I keep losing one and gaining one because I think Jackson rage unsubs me each night and then sheepishly subs me again the next day. So
it's not as cool as Gray Man's wheel.
There's one spin. Now I'm not watching this. Can we see this?
Yeah, Black Panther. Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's the second spin.
Oh, that would have been a good one.
Great. It is a great one.
That would have been a good one.
Here is the third spin. Here we go. Oh, perfect. That's a great one, too.
All right. Nice.
Love it.
All right, great. 22 issues. Steve Gerber.
Yep,
Love Gerber.
Goodness.
Yeah. This is a very, very unique series because Man-Thing doesn't talk. It doesn't really think. So it's all about the surrounding characters and situations.
Yeah. Talk about character development. He's forced to do it in that series.
Right.
Cool.
Talk about a crutch there, but I think Gerber pulls it off to a good degree. Yeah.
He's a good writer. Really good writer, I think.
Right. So if you like quirky stuff like Howard the Duck and the Defenders run that he did.
Guilty.
Oh man, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. I'm excited, Bill. I'm excited. I'm going to pull mine out after the holidays and start getting at it.
Family show, family stream, Roger. All right.
Family show. Family show. Family show.
What's going on, Chuck? Good to see you. So yes, I'm excited about that too. Next up is the Man-Thing, the Bronze Age run, the first 22 issues. Did you want to jump back into like the Fear issues, or you want to just maybe we'll just like lightly touch on those ones, but really concentrate on.
I think we do have to do the giant size issues though, because those are part of the story. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. So it's actually 27 issues. I want to say.
Were there 5 giant size Man-Thing? I know there are at least
5.
4.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we'll get it.
We'll just do the Man-Thing stories in those giant size ones because there's other stories.
Right. Correct.
The stream would go on forever. The way you and I talk.
But yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, 5.
And that one will be on Metarog's channel. So tune in in February or March. We'll let you guys know when we get nearer the date.
Right. Probably late February would be okay. I got some things in the middle of February, but I don't think I have anything at the end. So if you're okay with it, if you're free, we can do it at the end of February.
We can tentatively figure or schedule for late February.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
Excellent. All right, Bill.
Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks again for hosting this one. It was a lot of fun.
I had a blast. Love it.
You got it.
Thank you guys for tuning in. You have anything coming up? You have anything coming up in the future?
Oh, sorry. I was looking at the chat. Next Saturday, I'm doing a daily comic book advent calendar, by the way. I know you've seen a few of those. They're less than a minute, but it's a lot of fun to see what comics come out of that. I'm having a blast. And next Saturday, I'm doing a special Christmas show with Bub, Jambo, Lawrence Everett, King of Comicdom, Shannon, Solid, 5-String Bottom Man, and Rayman the Silencer Man. So we're going to show a lot of Christmas and winter related covers, and I have a little contest to see who has the best. So you in the chat will determine who the winner of that show will be.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. A good cast of Christmas clowns you'll be with on that show, that's for certain. Especially Bubsy. All right, so that's it.
Yeah, I think the shorts you don't get notifications.
Yeah. That's what I understand too. For those you don't, but I've been enjoying those, by the way. I have my next.
Oh, thanks for
my part 2 of the top 100 pre-code war comics. That'll be this Wednesday.
Ooh, nice.
And then we'll see after that. I will be on Cover Slingers on Saturday, which is on the Gray Man's channel. But that should be it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Roger. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, all.